Hello and welcome. I am Scarperlock, and this is Satisfactory Early Access. And I've been doing some work on the base, you can see over there, and I've been doing some exploring, you can see up there in the distance, and I'm going to take you on a tour of all of that. This is our sixth episode of Satisfactory, though, and I want to make a comment for anybody who is following along, whether you've been watching my Scrapper videos or not. Um, I don't know what's going on, but since I started posting Satisfactory videos, I've been getting a bunch of spam comments where people just post a thing and just say, let's be friends. Um, those comments are going to be deleted. If you don't have something to say about the video, then that's fine if you don't leave a comment, but I'm not fishing for a high subscriber count. I like making these videos for fun, and if people want to watch and leave a like or a comment about the video, great. But if you're just going to be trying to get me to YouTube friend you back so that you can get a higher subscriber count, it's not going to happen. I don't care about my subscriber count, and I'm not playing those kinds of games. So, just FYI. And now back to the game. You can see I've mostly got parts assembly ready to go. I didn't finish it because I wanted you guys to see that, and there's some other things I want you guys to see. I went all the way up there. I did not get to the top of that plateau. I built almost all the way, and there are 2 or 3 very powerful, like high-end spitters up there. I don't want to tackle them until we have some ranged weapons and maybe a better weapon than this Xeno Zapper. I also was looking at from up there actually when I was near the top. I looked over here and I thought I could build a base in this whole area. It's pretty flat. And if you look, this plateau here, you see right there, it sort of starts here and it goes across. It's pretty high, and there's a little bit of a peak right there. And if I put a foundation right there, it would come across probably about the height of this, the storage tank, right around the height of the hub. And we could cover almost this entire plane, and we would have a really nice base. And then maybe I could clear out this plateau up here and put the space elevator up there or something. I thought this would be pretty cool. Then I went over there. This whole section on this side and the whole section on that side is full of poison plants that spew out green, noxious fumes. And you can't clear them out, as far as I know. Certainly not at this level. And it would get through the floors and choke me. So that would mean that we'd have to go much higher up to get away from that, like at the height of the trees, right? Like at the height of this plateau, or maybe even the height of this one, but certainly this one. And so, I mean, we can do that, but if I'm going to do that, I may as well look in other places for a nice flat spot to start building. I have an extra biomass converter here, so we have a lot more energy. I'm not actually using any more energy because I didn't do much additional building of constructors or anything at all. What I am planning to do over here, there are 2 more metal deposits, iron deposits, on the side here, and so I'm going to climb this lookout post and show you. So what I'm planning to do here is use the 2 miners. I put them down. I don't know whether they're going to be in this angle or not, but there's 2 miners, one right over here that you can just see through this rock, and one here, and they're going to be spitting out iron. And then over here I'm going to have assembly lines for 3 different materials. One of them that we already know about, the metal reinforced plates, but then we're also going to need rotors and modular frames. I'm also going to need, over in the copper area, to start building copper sheets, because that makes pipes, which we're going to need to run our coal plants. So I've got this platform started, but I didn't get any further because I've got to see how this all spaces out. Each assembler takes in items from 2 different constructors, and we're going to be needing to make screws and rods, and screws make rods, and so I've got to figure out exactly how many of each thing I want. We're going to also need to put smelters in, so this may go all the way back to here. I'm not really sure how I want this to work out, but we're definitely going to want to run like 4 more smelters and a bunch more constructors and assemblers, and I don't know if even that one extra biomass burner is going to be enough. I mean, right now we're generating 160 megawatts and using 60. I think 100 more will be enough, but the assemblers use a lot of power. We're going to need 10 more from the 2 mines. We're going to need something like 12 more, so that's 22 with the smelters. We're going to need probably another 16 or so, maybe 20 with the constructors, so that's 42. And then I don't know how much the assemblers take, 10 each or something. So we'll have to see. Another thing I wanted to show you guys is over here we have a crashed pod. This is a supply pod that was, I guess, sent into orbit and they crashed down. They were supposed to land here, but they crashed. And now they are being chewed on by some of these alien creatures, and we're going to fight the creatures and find out what the pod has in store for us, because they sometimes have pretty cool gear. So, there are 2 creatures here. I call them pig beasts. They're some kind of pig creature. And they like to charge you like a bull. Here comes one, and there's another one there too. And for these, like with the spitters, you kind of want to jump over them. That got him, and now there's another one. And you just sort of have to wait him out, let him come to you, and then charge and hit. Jump and hit as he charges. And they take 4 hits from this device. He got me there, but that wasn't too bad. And now we have wreckage. We have modular frames. We got 7 of them now. We've got thought I saw something else. Encased industrial beams. That's a very high-end product that we can't make until we're making steel. We've got some cable. We've got some wire. And then if we look in the module, usually you need something. So we need 21 rotors to open this pod. So what I'm going to do is put a beacon down here. And then say pod 21 rotor. Okay, so that tells me what I need. We can't do anything until we can make rotors. Another thing I want to do at some point is completely fill up both the wood and the leaves storage containers so that the thing runs forever and makes tons of biofuel. I've moved all of the biomass burners over to biofuel, the concentrated biofuel, this stuff. If you do the math on that, it will last about 50 minutes, I think, instead of 30 with a set of concentrated biofuel. So that's about the best you're going to get out of these burners. So the other, let's see, I want to go a couple other places. Let's go up top here, and I'll show you what it's like up at the top. And there's another pod up there that I did not investigate because I wanted you guys to watch that. I'm not going to show you every single pod, but I wanted to show you how that works since we had not done pods yet. So let's go up here, and I built this crazy stair step to get up to, there's like 3 different levels up here, and so I created a bunch of different inclines to get up there. There's also a green slug, but to get to that you've got to fight some insects, and I wasn't in the mood to do that the last time, but we can do that now. Right, so the green slug is over there. So we can begin a foundation right here. Should be able to get on top of this. There we go. Now it's very difficult to fight the insects in an area like this because they will push you around and you might fall. So we're going to take some damage here because I don't want to get knocked off. There's one more guy, it looks like, sounds like. Where is he? Okay, so that took care of that one, and now there's another one that's going to come out. Got one. Yeah, this is tough here because I don't want to fall down. One more hit should do him. Okay. And there is a green power slug. So here you can see from here what I was talking about. There's a plateau right there. And that's where I was going to start the base and then move it out. And it would... I think it would cover this whole section quite nicely. There'd be some things jutting up, but it would be pretty cool. But there are gas poison plants throughout that area. On both sides of this, there's a slope up, and then on both sides there are these gas poison plants, and yeah, so we're not going to be able to make a base there easily. Alright, so now we're going to head up. There is another pod at the top of this incline, I believe. Yeah, so I built two of these because this one only goes up to here. And you can see there's no support on any of this. I was just trying to get up there. But as we come over here, there are insects here that I did not fight because I'm not interested in battling them right now. It won't... They're just going to respawn, so there's really no point to fighting them. But these guys are worth it because there's another pod here. Okay. And now we got some reinforced iron plates. And we got some wire. And there's some healing here. And we should go ahead and grab some healing. Thought I saw something running around back there. That should help. And so here is the pod. This one is operational, so we can go ahead and open it. It just needed biofuel. And what we get out of it is a hard drive that we can use to do research.
Data on the hard drive has been salvaged and can be repurposed to unlock an alternate recipe. Salvaging more hard drives will provide additional alternate recipes.
And there is a spitter, and he's protecting a slug. I hope that's not one of the powerful spitters. We'll find out in a sec when he shoots at me. You gonna shoot at me there, buddy? No, that's a weaker spitter, okay. So we can try to make a bridge. Can he come across the bridge? If not, I can try to... Oh, yep, he came. Yeah, this guy's going to be tough to fight because I'm trying to set up the bridge. And he's going to attack me while I'm doing it. Yep, yeah. That's what we want. Gotcha. Okay, that was kind of sloppy, but we've got tons of barrel nuts, so we can go ahead and use them. And there is a slug. So let's see, we're going to need to build up to it a little bit. Can I get to it? No, still need to build up. Sorry, I keep hitting the wrong button here, guys. Oh, I'm out of concrete. Well, that can be solved by doing that. Actually, maybe not. Alright, hang on. Let's do it this way. And that should be good enough. And we've got a green power slug. So we collected a green power slug, we collected a hard drive. We beat up a couple of bad guys. I'm not going to fight anybody else up here. And we can head down. And wait a minute. I think I can get rid of this beacon that I put here to mark the pod for myself. Come on. There we go. Pick up. Now I'll take you down and show you how the hard drive works. It will give us research. What it does is it gives you usually alternate recipes, and so you can get a different way of making things. So the idea is like, so let me give you a simple example. The reinforced iron plates require screws, right, which take rods and take therefore iron, and metal plates, which also take iron. Suppose you're in a shortage of iron. There are things called stitched metal plates, which are equivalent to reinforced iron, but they're stitched with copper. So if you have extra copper, you can use the copper in place of the iron in that recipe. And so there's a bunch of recipes like that, a bunch of alternative recipes like that. And so that's what it allows you to do. So that's some of the exploration. I've also gone that way. You can see this thing called Niagara Falls. And I found a lake. I called it Lake Placid. I don't know. I don't know what to name these things until we actually build parts of our factory, and then we'll have names based on what the factory is producing. But it's a nice little lake. There's a waterfall in the background, and there are multiple pure nodes of iron, and there's one of copper, and there's some limestone over there too. So, hard drive. Scan the hard drive. Takes 10 minutes, and it will give us an alternative recipe. In the meantime, we have enough metal, we should, to complete parts assembly. And there goes our shuttle.
Milestone reached. More complex assembly of parts can now be automated. Project assembly parts can now be constructed and sent up via the space elevator. Note: project parts are too complex to produce by hand.
So, we can now make modular frames. We can now make rotors. That takes rods. Modular frames takes rods and reinforced plates, and then reinforced plates take plates and screws. So the modular frames we may not be able to make at this point because we're going to have to use multiple assemblers to make them, and I don't know that we have the power for that. But we should be able to make some assemblers. So let's see. What I wasn't sure about was the size of these things. Okay, so it's just about 1 wide. So if we straddle a pair, we should be able to do it. So I need more concrete. And I find with these doing this that it's often a little bit better to sort of back your way into it, and by that I mean create the end points first, like where you want to put your storage containers, and then after you've got that set up, then work your way back to the miner. Now ultimately, I don't think we're going to have a miner going straight into a smelter like that. We're going to be moving things all over the entire planet, but for now we actually do need to do that. Going straight from the miner through the assembly line. I am clicking on the wrong thing. Okay, so we can now make power shards. And these things will increase the capacity. Once we develop the right tech, they will increase the sort of the working capacity of our production line, so it'll make the constructor go faster. Things like that. Alright, so if we have our assembler straddling the lines, then we're going to put our storage containers straddling it also. And that is just a little bit too far forward. So that might be where I want it. Looks like it. And now once you've got one of them lined up, you can line the others up with it. Like that. And like that. So this is going to basically be reinforced plates, rotors, modular frames, or something like that. We may not be able to do modular frames right away. So then we need assemblers. So we're going to need 2 assemblers. 1, 2. So let's go ahead and make those. We're going to have to hand make rotors. And we can't make those yet. What do we need for that? We need 8 of those. So we're going to need a bunch of screws. And then we're ready to go. Now we should have a whole lot of rods and screws and everything now. We are nearly full on both, and we are full on metal plates. And we now have a whole bunch of screws. So we don't have to make any of that by hand anymore, which is quite nice. So now we go to the crafting bench, and we make rotors. So these things would take a long time to make, so I have no desire to do any of these by hand if I can avoid it. And we're going to need a lot of reinforced plates as well. Let's make a few of those because we're going to have to make constructors. My guess is we're going to need to make about 12 of these. We have 20. All right, we have 27, so we got plenty. Okay. So now we're going to make our assemblers, right? And we're going to want them lined up with these things. So I'm going to put it a little bit back because the reinforced plate assembler may need to be routed somewhere else. So let's start with because it's got to go into another one with the modular frames. So let's start with the rotor assembler. Right, so that lines up right there. Okay. Now, am I going to be able to put... Okay, so then the modular frame assembler will be on the other side, but this will be the reinforced plate assembler, right? And then this will be the modular frame assembler. So we need more rotors. Okay. We can walk between this, but I think we might want to back it up just a little bit. How about there? Okay. And then we're going to need more rotors, and we're going to make one more assembler. We're not going to hook all these up right now. We're just going to make enough of them to lay everything out. Okay. So I'm going to place this, guys. I'll tell you what, I'm going to get all this done, and I will bring you back when everything is set up, and I'll show you how it's going to work. Okay guys, we're back, and I've got this mostly worked out. It's not perfect. I would lay it out differently if I had more power and resources. It's not going to be able to run everything all at once because we don't have enough biomass burners, and I'm not making that much more. I want to get to the coal. But before we do that, we've got to create a space elevator and send up some parts. And before we do that, we're going to need to assemble some parts. So the way this works is we have our mine right here. We're just using a single mine for now because I don't think we have the power to run two. We're going to belt the ore into two smelters. We have a splitter. Each smelter can do half of what's coming out of this mine. Then the smelters are going to split into constructors. These constructors are going to make rods to screws to go into the assembler. This constructor is going to make rods to go to the assembler. The assembler will then use screws and rods to make rotors and spit it out that way. Here we're going to go straight into iron plates and then rods to screws, and we're going to make reinforced plates. Now, this thing's only going to be running at half speed because this thing spits out 30 and this can use 30. And we've got a whole bunch of stuff over here that I'm not even piping in here, and we may start wrapping some of this around to come into these assemblers. One of the things is both of these assemblers are going to need reinforced plates, and we're only making one set of reinforced plates here, and I have a splitter there that can send to either of these two as we desire. One of them will make modular frames and the other is going to make these spaceship parts. So if you hit the X key, you can see emails, which I mostly ignore, tutorials, which I ignore, but the recipes, if we look in the parts, both the modular frames need reinforced plates and the smart plating needs reinforced plates and rotors. So eventually what we're going to have to do is split off the rotors to come over here and have the the reinforced plates come over here and make these spaceship parts. But we're not going to do that yet. So what I want to do is hook up the power to this mine and then hook the power up to this area. Now that many of these are turned off, but that should start up this line right here. So we're going to get the ore coming out and going into the smelters. So let's head down. And I just want to check who's on and off here because I want only the rotor line to be on for now so that I can check our power consumption. And none of them should be doing anything because this smelter is off. Yep, it's on standby. So something's not powered. That's this one here is not powered. So let's go ahead and power that. And this should be on standby. Oh no, this one actually should be running. Sorry about that. Alright, so now our splitter is splitting between this guy and that guy. This guy's just shouldn't be doing anything because he's on standby, but this one's going to put out ingots. And now the ingots are being divided between these two belts. That's going to make rods into screws, and that's going to make just rods. So these rods are making screws, and now the screws and the rods should go into the assembler, and when it has enough screws and rods, it's going to make rotors. Now we're not working at peak efficiency, right? This thing takes 20 rods and 100 screws a minute, right? This is only producing 40 screws a minute, so it's going to take it 2.5 minutes to fill this up, and this is only producing 15 rods, so it's going to, in a minute and a half, it's going to be ready, and then it's going to run out of screws. So it's going to be waiting on screws over and over again, right? So the way you have to do the math on this is figure out, okay, how much output do we need, right? This thing needs 20 rods per minute. This thing only makes 15. You can speed it up in different ways. For example, you can line up, if you don't have power issues, you can line up 4 constructors that make 60, merge them all into one, and then split it out, and you can go to 3 assemblers, right? Meanwhile, this thing only makes 40. If you want to make 3 assemblers, you're going to need 300, so you need like 8 of these constructors, merge them all together, and then split them out to the 3 assemblers. So with like something like 11 or 12 constructors working on screws and rods. Oh, and you'd need the 8 rods constructors to make these screws. So you need like 24 constructors to get 3 assemblers working at full speed all the time, right? And so there's a whole lot of math involved in this, and um, you know, that is for later, right? At this point, we're just trying to use the little bit of power we have from the biomass to run this stuff. So we're running at about 90, and if we look at how much more power this is going to take to run this line, this is going to take 15, and each of these is going to take 4, so that's 27, and then the smelter's going to take 4, so 31. It looks like we can do it, so we can turn these guys on. We should be alright. So they're all powered, and now once we turn the smelter on, they should all work. And so now we can come back to our nice little crow's nest up here. And you can see there's a rotor going right down the belt. And now we can start watching screws and metal plates being made, and that should make reinforced plates. And now I don't have to hand make those as much as I did. Now the problem is it's very slow. So that, to me, this is where what you want to do is load up those biofuel, max them out. It gives you 50 minutes, and then go on a 50-minute exploration. When you come back, you'll have 100 reinforced plates made, and maybe 75 rotors made, or what have you. Okay. Now, one of the things is, if we look at the spaceship part, the smart plating, you cannot make those by hand. You can make modular frames by hand, rotors by hand, etc., but you cannot make smart plating by hand. So those have to be made in an assembler. So at some point, when I have enough materials, what I may do, rather than setting up constructors just for the first one, you wouldn't want to do this later, but what I may do is put a couple of storage containers right here and pipe them in there, right? And just take out the plates and the rotors when I have enough and just load them in. Just do it by hand, right? And just let it make what it has to make. And this one is going to be making modular frames, but we don't have enough materials for that right now. So this is going to work pretty quickly. It's going to move along. And, oh, I need to turn this off. We do not want anything coming in here yet. So what I was trying to do was send reinforced plates to both, because I have this on a splitter, but we only want it going this way for right now. And it's starting to make them very, very slowly, right? It's going to make... It says 5 a minute, but it needs 60 screws per minute, and it's only going to get 40, and it needs 30 plates a minute, and it's only going to get about maybe 10 or 15. So it's going to take it about, it's going to do about 3 plates a minute, 2 plates a minute, something like that. So it's going to be very slow for now. Again, we can pipe some of this stuff over here if we want to. I mean, like you can see, our metal plates are stopped, so there's really no reason not to bring some of them over here and merge them in, and I may do that later. But I just wanted to get this started and show you guys how it works. There was one other thing I wanted to do. Oh, I want to check power consumption, because we need to see if we can make pipes, like the copper sheeting. We're doing alright on power consumption. We're peaking at 130. So another mine, smelter, and constructor, that's going to get us very close to our max. And the only reason we're not, well, I was going to say the only reason we're not maxing out more is because the rods are stopped, but the rods are still being made. So we can, it looks like we can pull these rods and plates over here and feed them into the assemblers to make it a little bit faster. But I'll work that out later on. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Between now and next time, I'm going to do a little bit more exploring. I may show you guys some other options for like base locations. We also need to, I think, get our logistics and our resource sync going. Let's start with logistics. And we have to do a lot more exploring. So we'll do that next time. Until then, I am Scrapperlock, and this is Satisfactory.